Okay, picture this. A sitting congressman looks the Secretary of Defense in the eye and tells him he should resign. Now, this isn't just some political drama. It's a flashpoint in a huge battle over one of America's core principles, an apolitical military. So that's what we're going to unpack here. The confrontation, the rules at the heart of it, and why this whole issue is so critical for democracy.
All right, let's just jump right into the moment that really lit the fuse. And look, this wasn't just some tweet or a cable news soundbite. This was a direct call for resignation on the official record right in the middle of a congressional hearing. I mean, that's a statement designed to make the whole room go silent, and it raises a massive question. So, you gotta ask, what on earth could provoke something that intense? This wasn't just some random political theater. No, it was the direct result of very specific events that had happened just a few days before. To really get why Representative Ryan made such an explosive charge, we've got to rewind to the catalyst.
So the whole story really gets started a couple of days before that hearing at Fort Bragg, which is one of the largest military installations in the entire world. A presidential visit was happening, and reports started to bubble up that raised some really serious questions about where that line between politics and military protocol is supposed to be.
Okay, so two really specific things popped up that, they strike right at the heart of military neutrality. First, there were these allegations that soldiers were being screened based on their perceived political views. And second, that partisan campaign merchandise was actually being sold on post, a space that is supposed to be explicitly, totally apolitical. And this wasn't just something politicians or the media were talking about. This feeling was coming from inside the ranks. A commander on the ground at Fort Bragg actually called it a bad week for the Army. That really tells you that the worry here wasn't just about, breaking some rule. It was about damaging the very identity of the institution.
And all of this, well, it brings us right back to that hearing room where Representative Ryan took these concerns from the field and brought them directly to the highest levels of the Pentagon.
So what you have here is this incredible clash. On one side, you've got Representative Pat Ryan, a combat veteran, demanding that they stick to military protocol and this long-held apolitical tradition. And on the other side, you have Secretary Pete Hegseth, defending the administration's actions and pushing back hard against what he called mere insinuations. So Ryan tries to zero in on this really key military regulation, DoD Directive 1344.10. And the secretary, he doesn't even answer the question directly. Instead, he immediately goes on the defensive, firing back, "I know what you're attempting to insinuate." And that, right there, set the tone for the entire exchange.
Then things get even more pointed. The questions turn to the powerful symbolism of wearing campaign gear. Ryan presses the secretary about his own actions, but Hegseth pivots. He defends the president, saying the commander-in-chief can wear whatever hat he wants. And that right there, that's the absolute core of their disagreement. Does this apolitical standard apply to absolutely everyone?
Okay, so it's super important to get this. This whole argument, it isn't just about one incident or one hat. It's rooted in a foundational principle of the U.S. military, one that's written down in official policy and drilled into service members from day one.
This directive, this is the rule book Ryan was talking about, and its whole purpose is crystal clear. Keep the military out of partisan politics. But it's not just for the military's benefit. It's to make sure that every single American, no matter who you vote for, trusts that the armed forces are there to serve the nation, not just one political party.
But this whole idea, it goes even deeper than just some regulation. It's literally embedded in the oath every single service member takes. They pledge their allegiance to the Constitution, to a set of ideas, not to any one person, or one administration, or a political party. That oath is the ultimate guardrail against the military ever becoming a partisan tool.
And look, it wasn't just the congressman hammering this point home. General Kane was also at the hearing, and Ryan questioned him too. The general's response was totally unequivocal. He said the nation demands a nonpartisan military. It's not a suggestion, it's a requirement.
But why, right? Why is this apolitical stance so fiercely guarded? Why does it bring up such a passionate defense? Well, because the consequences of blurring this line, they're not abstract at all. They are severe, and they are very, very real.
Well, the sources we're looking at lay out this really dangerous chain reaction. It all starts when leadership shows partisan bias. Then trust inside the unit starts to crumble. You start wondering, is this order for the mission or is it for politics? That just destroys cohesion and morale.
And the final terrible result? Mission readiness itself is put at risk.
And let's be absolutely clear here. We're not talking about some kind of office politics. In the military, a breakdown in unit cohesion can literally have life or death consequences. Soldiers have to be able to trust their leaders and their buddies implicitly, no matter what anyone's personal beliefs are. The second politics enters that equation, that secret trust is in jeopardy.
Okay, so if these fundamental norms get challenged, what's in place to enforce them? To hold leadership accountable?
So how is this whole principle protected? Well, our system has a few different tools. The congressional hearing we've been talking about is a perfect example. But beyond that, there are internal inspector general investigations, public records requests that can force transparency, and ultimately, the power of an engaged public that's paying attention.
And this brings everything full circle, right back to Representative Ryan. Because when veterans in Congress speak up on this issue, it carries a different kind of weight. It's the credibility of lived experience. They understand firsthand that this isn't about scoring some political points. This is about protecting the integrity and the effectiveness of the very institution they swore an oath to defend.
And that really leaves us with one final big thought. While Congress and the military have their roles to play, the sources here suggest that accountability, at the end of the day, relies on us, on citizens understanding these norms and demanding that they are respected. The principle of an apolitical military is a cornerstone of the republic, and like any cornerstone, it requires constant vigilance to protect.